Hey everybody, Ron Cecil's here, men's life coach in Portland, Oregon, also co-host of the podcast Cutting for Sign. Have you ever thought about what a negative thought is? Have you ever been seemingly stuck in a pattern of negative thinking where you tend to catastrophize, right? If something in your life starts to go really well, and all you can think about is how it's not going to be okay in the end. I know for me, I grew up. In fact, I remember actually at a moment in my life where I stopped believing that good things would end up being possible or coming into fruition. So I would notice in my life patterns, whether it was family situations that I would hope turn out well, whether it was my own personal situations that I would hope would turn out well, things started to feel good, things would be starting to get in the right place. And then I would have this feeling, this thought in the back of my mind, like, I can't really trust this. Good things aren't going to work out for me. And I would get pretty nervous. And then at some point, they were true, right? Now that I'm in my 40s, I have to admit that probably some of that was at least due in part to my own actions. In other words, I began to act in a way as if it was true. And it took me a long time to realize that's what we do as humans. When we believe something is true, we act as if it's true. Does that sound kind of funny to say that? When we believe something is true, we act as if it's true. So if we believe that good things won't work out, then we begin to act like good things won't work out. And when we act like good things won't work out, they don't work out. That was a hard lesson for me to understand. But one of the ways I began to back out of that acting, which then resulted in better living, is understanding the power of my thoughts leading up to that acting. And the way I did that was by recognizing in my mind when my thinking began to feel negative, or when my thinking began to question, is this thing going to work out? Or am I really worthy of this job? Or am I worthy to lead men through coaching? Or am I worthy of staying sober? Am I worthy of my wife's love? All kinds of questions and thoughts like that rolling through my head. At a certain point, I realized what was going on in my mind. My mind was putting these things out there in order to keep me safe. Because really, that's what a negative thought is, right? Negative thought is your mind trying to get ahead of a situation in order to keep you safe. Think about that for a moment. Notice that in yourself right now, right? If you thought about maybe a moment earlier today when you're thinking about a relationship or a job, and then the very first thing that comes to your mind is some negative quality, some negative story about how that is or how that should be or how you believe that should be. Well, why is that? Why do you think that way? Well, if you think about it, your mind is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you safe in a number of ways. Number one is our minds are pretty smart, and your mind is no different. It is quite smart. And if it can predict the future, then it's going to prove to itself and prove to you that there it is. I was right all along. So if I can think about the worst case scenario and then prove that it's going to happen and show that it's going to happen by predicting what's going to happen, and then it comes because I act as if that's true, you are going to over and over see that your brain is smart. Unfortunately, it's kind of a backwards way of staying safe. Now, I believe that most human beings, most people, are really doing the best job they possibly can with what they've got. And often what we've got is just the information that we have on hand. In other words, most of what we're operating with is just either most of what we're operating with is a real lack of information. We maybe have some presumptions on how we believe the world operates, but we don't know the facts. Now, there's an idea that you may have heard, which is if you've gone through trauma, then as a child, and many of us have, whether it was some kind of insecurity, whether it was harm that was done to us as a child, neglect that was done to us as a child, love that was withheld from us, there's no end to the way that we can be neglected as kids. Our brains tend to go to negative places quite quick. Now you see a pattern there, right? Like something bad happened to you as a child, so as an adult, you begin to get good at predicting those things happening again. See, there is the connection of safety, the mechanism of safety trying to occur. So next time you are in a place in your life where you're thinking about what's going on, and then your brain starts to get filled with negativity, all I want you to do is observe the fact that your mind is trying really hard to keep you safe. And all you have to do to begin to lessen that is to notice that it's happening, number one, and then don't try to resist it. Don't try to fight it. I want you to do something else instead. I want you to say thanks. Thanks for trying to keep me safe. I know you're just trying to keep me safe. And the more that you could notice that your mind is trying to keep you safe, the more that you could notice that you're doing the best you can with what you've got, the less frequently your mind is going to continue to do that. In fact, it's going to start to give you other options, because that's what brains do. Brains, over time, when they realize, oh, this isn't working, it's going to start to give you different kinds of options. So see if that works for you. And then after some time, let me know how it goes. See if the frequency of negative thoughts happens, and see if the increase in different thoughts happens for you as you're facing different difficulties. Take care, everybody.